set go. Blockchain, Web3, crypto, and DeFi.
Hello, blockchain nerds, traders, hodlers, moonboys, of course, Zyptonians, and today a big shout out to the Nimiq community. So, also, thank you to AI for our intro music, which we enjoy very much. Welcome to the Crypto Made Easy with Zypto podcast. This podcast is brought to you, as always, by Zypto.com, and we're recording live in the @Zypto Global Telegram channel, home of our very own Zyptonian community. We've got a great episode for you today, featuring Nimiq, who are, according to their website, Nimiq.com, that's Nimiq, they are the most accepted crypto in the world. That's a very bold claim. I'm looking forward to hearing more about from our guest, especially considering that Zypto is all about crypto adoption with payments as well. It looks like we're going to have plenty to talk about. My name's Joe Parkin. I'm one of the founders of Zypto. And in this episode, we're delighted to have Richy, who is the communication lead at Nimiq. Welcome, Richy. How are you?
Hi, Joe. I'm fine. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the invite, and thank you everybody for joining. I see a lot of familiar names from our community. I see please enter your name here, there, but also I see a lot of new people. Mike, Delta, Cecil Higgins, GS, KJ Tal. Welcome everybody, and thanks a lot for joining us. We're going to have a very exciting talk about everything that is going on at Nimiq and in general crypto adoption, because I see that we have a lot in common there. We are also focused on crypto adoption and really making crypto easy to onboard the next wave of users into crypto.
Yeah, I'm going to come clean and tell you I've actually known about Nimiq for a long time.
Really?
I'm obviously attracted to projects that have a similar kind of philosophy to our own, and I've had half an hour. To be honest, I'm really glad to have an opportunity to speak to you today, because I've lost track a little bit over the last year or so. So it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to explain the way the podcast is set out. So it's split into 3 sections. The first section is called the basics. Here is where we're going to talk about some really basic things to do with general concepts that we think will help new people to crypto to understand what we're talking about for the rest of the episode and other episodes in the future. Then we're going to go into the deep dive section, which is all about Nimiq, everything that you guys are doing, so you can explain to everyone and educate us. And then the final section before audience participations, where we got questions, is the big picture, where we're going to talk about some stuff that's more kind of broad crypto things. But first of all, Richy, if you could give us a bit of an intro about yourself, like your background in the crypto space and what you do at Nimiq, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that sounds great. So my name is actually Ricardo Barquero, but I go by Richy. That's easier to pronounce for most people that are not Spanish speakers. But as you can probably tell by my accent, I am a Spanish speaker. I'm from Costa Rica originally, and my first language is Spanish. And my background is in engineering. Actually, I started working in engineering and started getting really into crypto because of remittances. I'm in Costa Rica, and for us, remittances are a big deal. There's a lot of people that come to Costa Rica to work that are from other countries and send money back home. And also a lot of Costa Ricans that go to other countries like, I don't know, US, Canada, and Europe, and so on, and need to send money back. And it's always, a difficult thing to send money across borders. And also the people that have the less are the ones that end up paying like super steep fees. So in the era of information, this is kind of like, it is unacceptable, right? That we are able to send videos and images with the click of a button, and then we cannot send money or our hard work's earned.
Absolutely.
That's something that really struck with me at the beginning, and I started into Bitcoin back in what I wanna say, like maybe 6-7 years ago. Like I think 2016, I was already in Bitcoin, like writing blog posts about it and informing Spanish speakers about it because it was really early, right? And then Ethereum came along with we're talking like a crypto space where there were no tokens, right? ERC20 tokens, and each blockchain was its own like each token had its own blockchain. It was a different space, and then Ethereum came along with the ERC20 contract standard, allowing people to create tokens and to raise funds through crowdfunding, and that changed the game because then a lot of different projects started popping up. And what got me really interesting was, of course, people were raising a lot of funds and a lot of new projects were coming up. But I've always been also, since I'm in university, as I said, I'm an engineer, but at the same time, I started studying a little bit into the startup school, entrepreneurship type of courses, and always been into what's new potential business models and new business opportunities and ideas. And I'm very much into the idea part, right? As an engineer that I am, I love to find new ideas that solve problems in an interesting way.
That's one of the great things about the crypto community, the crypto sector, is the fact that it tends to attract kind of people from different backgrounds, but generally people that are inquisitive, that are interested in solving problems in different, unique, innovative ways. It's one of the things that makes it so great to be a part of. So we're going to move on to the first section called the basics, right? So this is going to be, if you can, I'm going to kind of throw you in the deep end here a bit, Richy. So I'm going to ask you to give in your own words, some explanations of some of the basic concepts of blockchain, Web3, and crypto. Okay, so I was looking, and I've seen that Nimiq's moving to a proof of stake model, which is on the 19th of November. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's when the activation phase begins. Yes.
Amazing. So I think this is actually a concept that many people struggle to understand. Exactly what is proof of stake and what is proof of work. So how would you define how proof of stake works to someone that's like totally new to blockchain?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if somebody that is new to blockchain is asking me this, then I will have to explain them, well, when you put your money into your bank, what you're giving them your money, and then you see in your bank account a number that represents your money, and this is in a database. This is information stored somewhere. And with blockchain is a database too, and it's information stored somewhere, right? And this is something that people usually are familiar with. Okay. Then the next step is, how do you have a database that needs to be synchronized by so many people around the world that don't trust each other? And that's when every minute, let's say, there is a new version of the database coming out, and everybody has to agree what's that new version going to be like. So in order to agree to this new version without having any conflicts of information, there is a process that helps everybody agree and reach consensus. In this process, in proof of stake, this process uses game theory to basically define who is going to be the next participant of the network to propose a version of the blockchain. Because it could happen that two people have a different version of the blockchain at the same time, and they propose, different versions, and then who is going to be the right one, right? Probably the changes that I have in the next version of the blockchain are going to come out later in time, and maybe you have changes that need to be updated, like you saw them first. So we have just different information, and then who's going to be first. So it uses a type of algorithm, uses game theory based on the amount of money that you put in stake. Basically saying that if you are putting your money on the line and you put in that money in the blockchain to say, hey, I'm a good participant, the information that I'm sharing here in this network is legit, and I'm not going to trick anybody into believing wrong information. If the rest of the participants see that you lied, then the money that you put in the line could be at stake. I mean, it could be in risk. There are some protocols that actually slash that. So it's kind of like that algorithm to say, if you put your money, you put your money where your mouth is in terms of participating in the network, and that way it verifies that everybody is a good actor in this trustless network.
That's I'm very impressed both with your ability to get the explanation out, especially when that's in your second language. That's brilliant. So, right, I'm going to move on to my next question here. So I've seen that Nimiq's described as being browser first. It's described that way. I've also seen it. I told you I've been looking at Nimiq for a long time. So it's described as being a node in your browser. Again, I think we kind of tend to assume that everybody's going to know what a node is. But how would you describe what a node is in this context, and how your browser can become a node on the Nimiq network?
Perfect. Let me try to get this one shorter.
Cool.
As I said before, then every participant of the blockchain, is in this payment network or in this network is participating with new versions of this database, right? That is the blockchain. And all these participants in a network, or the participants are called nodes. So everybody that is a participant there's of course a lot of technicalities. There could be different type of nodes and so on. But let's simplify this and let's say there's a network with participants, and all of them are there participating with information. And what happens, and a lot of people don't know, is that most of the blockchains out there, you don't get to participate. And it's weird, right? You think of Bitcoin and Ethereum as very decentralized, but at the end of the day, when you use a wallet, you are connecting to a server somewhere in the world that is the one that is actually participating in the blockchain. And what Nimiq tries to do is make this more decentralized by design, by allowing every user by default, when they're running a wallet, to be a part of the blockchain. And how that works is that the sophisticated software that somebody needs to run to be a participant, and it's like difficult to run because you need to really be careful of security. You also need to download a lot of information, and you need to have a server in a data center and so on. With all the blockchains, in our case, you open a wallet, which is browser-based, is like web, like the address is wallet.nimiq.com, and you open it, 30 seconds, and you have an account. It's very easy. You didn't have to install anything. And all the software and the sophistication and the complexity is there inside, tucked away. You don't need to worry about it. You open a wallet, and you are a node, and you are participating, and you are actually part of the blockchain. That's what it means in this context.
Brilliant. So I find this a super interesting concept in general, because generally people that are mining cryptocurrencies are using practically supercomputers. They're burning through gigawatts of power to do these things. But would it be right to say that Nimiq's essentially trying to make it so, rather than having a few very powerful computers running, or using a few excuse me one moment. Sorry, I had a call coming in. So rather than having, fewer very powerful computers, you're using less computing power, but more distributed. Is that right?
So it's more about the access to the blockchain. It's like, think of it like, if you need to, if I compare this to the traditional banking world, I would need to go to my bank account, and then instead of going to my bank account, I send somebody every time. I have like somebody that runs errands for me, and I tell them, hey, can you go to the bank and ask if I can make a deposit, and here is the money. And then turns out that a lot of people uses the same errand like person to help them run errands. The same person is like running around, going to the bank and doing errands for people. And then Nimiq says, hey, what if you had the chance to actually, you yourself, go to the bank? So that's like the difference there in terms of access, like being able to verify the information for yourself and to send the transactions for yourself. In terms of mining, yes, like of course, but that is more the concept of, I guess, mining pools. If you have like the computing power centralized or decentralized, this is more maybe about verification and having access to the information.
Brilliant. Okay, so final question in this section. There's quite a lot of mention of atomic swaps. So how would you describe what an atomic swap is?
Great question as well. Okay, so when you do an exchange from a currency to another one, if you go and meet somebody, like if you do it in the bank, then you kind of like trust the bank up to some extent, and you just go and give them the money, and you expect them to give them the other currency back. Let's say I'm exchanging USD to euro, so I go and I give USD, they give me euro. Fine. But what if I do it with somebody else, like not the bank, like a friend? Then if it's a friend, I trust them. Then I give them the money. I trust them. They will give me the money back. All good. But if I meet somebody, I don't know, in the internet maybe, and for example, here in Costa Rica, there's of course exchange rates are a thing. So it is better to go OTC in term for getting a good fee or a good price rate instead of going to the bank, of course. So a lot of people go and do OTC trades. So if I want to do an OTC, meaning like I meet somebody in the internet that says, "Hey, I need to buy $10,000," and I say, okay, hey, great, I have the euro to buy that, and I actually need to, get dollars, and the other person needs the euro. So we meet in the internet. I don't know, we create a group in Telegram, and then imagine that situation. I have somebody that I don't know, and we are going to be swapping currencies, but I really don't trust the guy. And he says, "Okay, you send me the money first. You send me the $10,000, and then I say, "No, you send me the euro first. No, you send me." And then we get into that situation of you send me first and you send me first because we don't trust each other. What an atomic swap is sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that basically, at its basic level, the whole utility of blockchain is to get rid of this "no, you go first, no, you go first." It really is, because that's why we have intermediaries in the end. But exactly. That's kind of the most basic thing. So anybody that's listening that doesn't really understand what blockchain does, that's what it does. It gets rid of the need to have a third party holding on to the two things and releasing, the two things of value and releasing them at the same time. So it's kind of, it could be shoes and a £5 note in a way. You know what I mean?
Totally. I actually, when I give this example, I also explain to people, when you think about, he's maybe a little bit grim, but when there is somebody that kidnaps somebody in the movies, you always see that they go to some dark place and they go like, "Okay, first give me the money. No, you first give me, my boyfriend." And then it's like, "You give me the guy. No, you give me the money." And they get into that situation of we don't trust each other, and who is going to give the money or whatever first. And an atomic swap basically solves this by having a type of escrow account, like a temporary account that is not owned by either party. Is like a middleman account, let's say, but this account is controlled or managed by the blockchain algorithm. So it basically is like giving you, if you're in that situation, then give me the money, you give me the guy. Okay, let's both give the money and the guy to a computer that is going to swap it for us, and that can be trusted, because a computer is always, in this case, trusted, because a computer doesn't misbehave or a computer code. That's the idea.
Brilliant. That's a great description. I love so obviously automated escrow service is not the same. It doesn't sound as cool as atomic swap, right? I actually looked up what the origin is of why it's called an atomic swap, and apparently it's because an atomic state is either one way or another. It can't be anything intermediate. So it's just add that on the end. Okay,
which is
great.
a powerful way to explain it. Just to end with that, if you think about it, it's like an atomic swap is a swap, or when you swap currencies, where there has to be either or two results. Either I keep my money or I get the other money I was swapping. It's like that. There is no way one of the two people are going to run away with both of the funds, right? That's the thing.
Perfect. Well, absolutely brilliant. Thanks, Richy. So we're going to move on to the middle section of the podcast, the deep dive, where you're going to have an opportunity to educate us all about Nimiq, and we're going to start from the beginning. So if you could give us a bit of a rundown of the origin story behind Nimiq, that would be great. I'm also very curious to know what the name means, and where that came from.
Sure. So yeah, I'll start. Well, the name Nimiq it comes from Inuit, which is this
Hmm.
type of language from tribes in the Northern America.
Yep.
And Nimiq is because it's super cool concept that the Inuit people have that is not a concept that exists in other in other languages. There are languages that have a
Hmm.
concept, like for example, Germans have words for everything, right? And in
Yep.
Inuit, they are like a bunch of different words for snow because they have so many different types of snow. And
Hmm.
in this case, in their community, in their culture, they have a word for the force that binds things together,
Oh,
like
lovely.
like glue, let's say, right? But it's like it could be anything, whatever binds things together. That's Nimiq. So that's what we
Great.
aim to do. And the story starts with. Um, I'm going to make it quick because, of course, it could be super long. But
Okay.
basically, the idea originated by saying, hey, really, for a web developer, it's very difficult to access Bitcoin because a web developer needs to then install a computer somewhere, a server, and then ask things to the server about the blockchain. But it's not that intuitive. So, what if from the web you could talk directly to a blockchain? With Bitcoin is kind of difficult because of the way it is designed. It is a little bit more, the block time is 10 minutes, and the technology is just different. It has higher amount of data, so it's not that easy to download it from a browser. And the UTXO, so it has a lot of technicalities that didn't make it easy
Hmm.
for it to be native to the web. So then we started in 2017 with the idea of, hey, what about having a blockchain that is native to the web, that from a web application, a web
Hmm.
developer could just like run a couple of lines of code and be connected to the blockchain? That could be game changing for the web world, because right now we are still living in a web world. We talk Web3 and all that, but it is web, right? Web technologies. So let's make blockchain just native to the web in some way. So we
Yeah.
started in 2017. Then we started creating our community, building our community, and then in 2018 we launched the blockchain. So it was just like a 1 year, not just like it was a lot of work, but we tried to do it really quickly to stay ahead of the market. 2018 we launched our blockchain proof of work, because that is the technology that we had back then in
Hmm.
2018. It was the battle tested technology for blockchain. And if back then proof of stake was already a topic for research, and we started researching into it, because one
Hmm.
thing that we also are concerned about is the energy use
Yeah,
of
me too.
blockchain
That's
technology.
it's something
Mhm.
that I talk about rather too often, and I get attacked by
Yeah, yeah,
proof of
totally.
work maxis, but it's something that
Totally.
doesn't make sense to me. It's like
That's the
if
thing.
we're evolving and moving towards something better, surely we should not be burning through energy, which is a real resource. It's one of the most important resources, and it comes from
Mhm.
non-renewable sources a lot of the time. And even if it comes from a renewable source, I'm sure we can think of something better to do with it. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
I
find that
agree.
confusing.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
so how long has that development taken to go from proof of work to proof of stake? How long has you've been actively building this towards this migration?
So I want to say 2018 we launched, and after the launch it was like stabilizing the network, right? Like looking for any
Hmm.
hiccups, improving performance of proof of work. We're talking then to 2018. We
Yeah.
are improving the proof of work that we just launched. We were referring of
Hmm.
it like, hey, we just gave birth to a baby. Now this baby is starting to walk, and we need to nurture it. And we were like doing community work around it. We also have a grant system, a community funding that
Great.
we give to community builders. So we're doing
Hmm.
all this for 2018. Then research started in 2019. So it was quick that we decided we
Okay.
should have a group of people from the team that are already researching in proof of stake, because of the energy
Okay.
consumption. This is something that is concerning to us. So that's when, around 2019.
Hmm.
And since then until today, we have been researching into this, because we also have PhD level developers in our team that
Hmm.
are researching into creating our own proof of stake algorithm. It's not like copying somebody else's technology. It's our own technology to make it specific for the use case of the web, like I said before, but also for payments, because there is Ethereum, Cardano, and a lot of other general purpose blockchains. But in our case, we are a layer 1 payment blockchain, and we think that having a layer 1 that is specific for payments that does that only that and does it right, it's a good choice. And that's why we have been taking our time to really build this design specifically for this use case.
Perfect. Well, that leads perfectly into my next question, which is about what I mentioned at the beginning, which I'm very curious to hear more about. So the website states that Nimiq is the most accepted crypto in the world. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, of course. So first thing is that it is unfortunately true that we don't use crypto as much as we expected by this time in terms of payments. Like when you go, when you go to pay somewhere,
the bear market slowed us down.
No, but not only that. Like a lot of people are using crypto for speculation and not really for real world payments. If you go to like a conference and you see like they're accepting crypto or fiat for T-shirts, a lot of people just go and pay with their debit card or the credit card and just use fiat. And it's something unfortunate that has happened, but of course it's understandable also because a lot of the market caters for speculation. And even though we have this grand use case that is payments, along the way it kind of has gotten lost a little bit. We have
it's got lost almost completely. Richy, that's the thing. We often say that part of what we're doing is trying to put the currency back into cryptocurrency. It's literally called cryptocurrency. However, most of the time it's called crypto, and people forget about the fact that that's what it's supposed to be used for. That was the whole point of it. So
totally,
yeah, I'm completely on board with this idea.
Then, if we started looking into the pain points, like asking people and really researching why is it that people are not paying with crypto all the time, there's a lot of pain points along the way. But one major pain point is that we are having this still, like at the beginning, crypto was just flourishing and this green field of projects, and then it became like quite tribalistic. And
totally.
And this is open source software also. This is supposed to be collaborative. So now go back to the claim of what is the problem, or how do we get to be the most accepted crypto in the world? We have, of course, Bitcoin and Bitcoin Lightning that are super accepted around the world. We also have Nimiq, which is our currency, and we teach people how to accept crypto in their businesses. We have active efforts of education. And we created also a point of sale system to make it easy to business owners to just accept crypto. When we say accept crypto, we teach them to accept Bitcoin, Nimiq, our currency, and also USDC on Polygon, to give them like, hey, you have access to Bitcoin, which of course everybody knows Bitcoin is king, and crypto is like the first cryptocurrency, like the first one that everybody hears about it. And then Nimiq, of course, we support it, is our currency, and it's high performance in comparison to Bitcoin for a layer 1, right? And also we have USDC for to protect users from volatility. Some of them maybe don't want to stay in crypto and want to stay in something more stable. Now, when you have like the claim goes to end users, you can use Nimiq software or Nimiq applications to pay in Nimiq places, Nimiq accepted locations, but also in Bitcoin accepted locations. And how it works is that we integrated Bitcoin Lightning into our apps, but like we mentioned before, like an atomic swap. What this means is that as a user, if you have our app and you hold Nimiq and you find a place that accepts Bitcoin Lightning, you don't have to like switch to your Bitcoin Lightning wallet and then try to like switch currencies or whatever. No, with your same Nimiq Pay app that is available on Android and in iPhone, in iOS, you just like scan the QR code and pay. And when you pay with your Nimiq. And then an atomic swap on the and on the way that is invisible to you. You don't have to see it, you don't have to configure it. An atomic swap happens, or a swap from currencies happens. And if the if the merchant that you're paying to, let's say I'm buying pizza and I paid with Nim, and the pizza place access Bitcoin Lightning, so basically they will receive Bitcoin Lightning. It's like if you have, I don't know, a USD card that you pay everywhere and it gets converted automatically, but not by the bank, and that's the difference.
That's exactly the example I use when talking about this kind of conversion, because that's I think it's really important for interoperability of crypto payments to add, well, first of all, add choice for the person that's paying, choice for the person that's receiving the money, and then our function as facilitators in this process is to make it as easy as possible, so that all of the stuff happens in the background. So I think there's lots of things that we should speak about offline, actually, because I think we can probably help each other towards our common goal. So,
and if somebody, just to finish with something, Joe, if somebody wants to see about this bold claim, because I know like it's a lot for somebody hearing out there, like what the most accepted crypto out there, go and check out our website. We basically compiled and aggregated all the places where you can pay with NIM into a single map, because that's another pain point. When people want to pay with crypto, they're like, okay, but where? So we have a map called map.nimiq.com. And you see there all the places where you can pay, because now we have NIM. Also, we integrate Bitcoin Lightning, and we are planning to integrate other currencies or other payment networks, let's say, in the future, that even get us more acceptance location points.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'm just to finish up this middle section, I was going to ask you if you wanted to tell us about any other things that you've got coming up. I know you've got the Nimiq Pay app. Any other things you'd like to mention before we move on to the last section?
Yes, for sure. So as you mentioned, yes, we have Nimiq Pay app that is available in iOS and in Android, and that's the one that you basically top up, or you load funds in NIM. You send it your NIM, or do you deposit your NIM into your account that is in Pay app, but it's still your account, and then with that you can pay in all Bitcoin Lightning locations, in all NIM locations, and we're going to be adding more payment networks. So check that one out. That's a new one that we released recently. But what's coming next is our migration to proof of stake. As you said at the beginning of the podcast, this is scheduled for November, and we're very excited about this switch. We have been working on this for a lot of years, like you mentioned before, so our community is super excited. And also, and here is like, pay attention, everybody here. This is a great opportunity to join Nimiq, because we are going to be having a lot of activities, a lot of giveaways, and we are actually going to be having a reward campaign for everybody that joins the migration. How you can join? So if you were around with Ethereum when Ethereum switched from proof of work to proof of stake, there was a time where people were staking in Ethereum before the migration happened. So that's something that we're going to be doing before the migration takes place. We are going to have what we call pre-staking, because when the proof of stake chain launches, it already has money staked on it, right? There's people participating, and there's participants already. Like it launches hot, on production. So we're going to have a pre-staking campaign that is going to start next week, and is going to run until November. And this pre-staking campaign is going to be very easy to participate. You participate from our wallet, and there's going to be a button that says pre-stake, and you just pre-stake, click it. And what it does is that you need NIM, of course, and basically you will be giving your NIM to one of the staking pools of the network. Basically, you will be getting you get your NIM, you lock it up, and you wait for the migration to take place, and you commit your NIM to support the network. For doing this, we are going to be giving rewards to everybody that participate. So we have two level of rewards. One is going to be a type of reward for everybody. The more you participate, the more rewards that you will get. We will be sharing all the information soon in nimiq.com and in our Twitter account. So check that one out. But I mean, just to get a punch information here, we are going to be giving away around $250,000 right now for the current value of NIM. We're going to be giving away 200 million NIM because this is a very important shift for us. And everybody can win. Just by pre-staking, you will be getting a reward. But also, we are going to have giveaways. The way that this will work is that you pre-stake and you are going to get a reward that is proportional to the amount that you pre-staked. And also, there is going to be this giveaway with a lot of prizes, like prizes of 3 million NIM and stuff like that. And the way to win is that you get points. The more points you get, the higher the chances to get the prizes.
Yeah.
And the way to get points is basically like multipliers. If you've participated of our campaigns, you've seen these multipliers. So
it's funny because I'm laughing because I love hearing how it feels a little bit like a kind of convergent evolution where we've got some similar things in our reward program as well. So it's like we're looking to solve some similar issues. We're looking to make things easy for the end user as well, and we've ended up converging on similar concepts. So it's really interesting, totally. To hear. I wanted to comment on your app UI actually, Richy. I've been looking at the UI, and that's something I feel like where we also have something in common. A lot of crypto and Web3 really doesn't make any effort to create a nice, friendly user experience and a nice, easy to use user interface. But honestly, yours looks smooth, and it kind of gives me confidence that anybody that's listening that's new, you probably have a good chance of participating in this, even though it might sound scary to take part in a migration to proof of stake from proof of work, etc., etc. The fact that the Nimiq guys they're working really hard to make this user friendly. I'd encourage you to go and give it a go. I'm sure they've got all the buttons nice and clearly labeled, and it won't be as hard as you think.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's like yesterday I was talking with a colleague. He's explaining Nimiq to somebody new, and he said, Nimiq is the perfect entry point to somebody that is new to crypto. And in this process, if you're like new to crypto and you're curious about proof of stake, yes, we are doing this the easiest way possible with smooth, intuitive interfaces and really making all this crazy world that is crypto easy to use and approachable to everybody out there. So feel free to join our community and also come to Zypto, and we'll be here and ask about us. Because if you're looking to get into crypto and you're new, this is your best opportunity right now.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Right, we're going to move on to the final section, then see if we've got some time for some questions. So we call this final section the big picture, and I'm going to kind of throw some general kind of crypto sphere issues at you to see what your opinions are. So there's more about here. You're turning into Richy and less of a Nimiq representative. So first of all, right. So we've been discussing proof of work and proof of stake somewhat. We've discussed the fact that proof of work has some issues with the energy usage that it requires. There are also concerns around proof of stake. A lot of people say it's a form of centralization because the people that have more money stake more, and therefore they get more rewards, and therefore it's just yet another example of funneling money to the wealthy. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I understand that. I agree to some extent that things can be improved a little bit in proof of stake. I think that's where community building comes into play. But in terms of a comparison to proof of work, I think both, in general, we are in a world or in a system where money helps you, get things. And even
Absolutely.
in proof of work, it's the same. With proof of work, the richer gets richer too.
Yes.
What do you think that they're giving out mining rigs in the corner? You need money to buy a mining
expensive.
rig. It's
incredibly
expensive. I would say, and maybe unpopular opinion here, but I would say proof of stake could be more inclusive right now than proof of work in that regard. Because with proof of stake, you just need some money to begin participating. With proof of work, you right now, depending on the chain, you need like a high-end mining rig and a data center to participate, to be really, competing there and to be able to maybe get some rewards from the network. But in proof of stake, you maybe don't. Of course, there are mining pools and everything, but in order to run your own validator or your own node, it's maybe, it's not that easy with proof of work as it's supposed to be, or as it was in the past. So there's still room to be improved in both. I think we are going to be seeing interesting technology moving ahead that maybe solves this problem, because it's still, a thing, of course, that, centralization of funds could lead to centralization of decisions. But that's where a lot of the technology comes into play to try to prevent that.
Yeah, I always think of the difference between proof of work and proof of stake, in my opinion, is a little bit like a quote that I very often use, which is Winston Churchill, who said that democracy is the worst form of government except for all the rest. It's kind of that kind of situation. It's where, okay, it's got some problems. It's not completely fine, but the alternative doesn't really convince me. Again, this is my opinion here. This is not kind of a definitive kind of judgment. But anyway, so moving on from that. So this is kind of related to how we think the blockchain technology is going to evolve in the future, especially for payments. We've got proof of work, then we've moved on to proof of stake. Maybe there's going to be other options or kind of different iterations of those systems coming in the future. Now, how do you think Nimiq will sit within your vision of how blockchain technology is going to evolve? Do you think that everyone will use Nimiq, or do you think that it's more of one part of a bigger machine, even if it's an important part of it, where, in the end, blockchain will continue and DeFi will be a kind of a series of interconnected systems. So where do you think you're going to be sitting moving forward? I went on. I rambled a lot there. I apologize.
No, don't worry at all. I rambled a lot too. So sorry. I apologize for that also. But I think Nimiq is going to sit as the best consumer wallet out there for payments. So in a world where we are getting closer to mass adoption and end users, or like the non-coiners, we call them, right? The people that are not tech savvy, the people that really don't care about the technology of blockchain, but maybe do care about its benefits, and maybe do need their benefits, but really don't know and don't want to know about what's under the hood. For those people, when they are searching for the best option out there, the most intuitive, the easiest to use, Nimiq is going to be that, is going to be providing them that in order to pay in all these payment networks that are in the crypto space, but in an easy, intuitive way. It's like the last payment app that you will ever need, because we have been building for this use case, and we want to keep it completely self-custodial, right? Decentralized, how it's supposed to be, but make it feel like the banking apps that people are used to today. So that's what it's going to be doing, like this universal payment layer for newcomers and for people that are, into crypto already, like the power app that you use every day for payments. And then when you, of course, go and you do your DeFi and all that, you use other things. But when you go to pay, you use Nimiq.
So I've got a question there specifically related to Nimiq and Zypto. Obviously we're a multi-chain app. We're a multi-chain platform. We try to provide options to our customers, as many as possible. Is your vision for Nimiq to stay in your app specifically, or are you also looking to add the technology to other app?
No, for sure. We plan to add. Yeah, we plan to add technology to other app. I think I'm personally very interested also of talking with you guys and see where we can collaborate, because it's not like we want to compete and get rid of the rest, right? It's actually we want to build together until Nimiq feels like a unified experience that allows you to pay in different places. Like it would be great for Zypto users to be able to, or for Nimiq users to be able to pay in Zypto accepted places, right? And to collaborate in a way where Zypto users can use Nimiq, and Nimiq users can use Zypto, and it just flows. That's
Exactly.
the idea there.
Good. I'm very glad to hear it, because that's very much what we're working towards. I often say in all of these kinds of conversations with my colleagues at other projects that we need to work together at the end of the day. We're many small fish, and like you say, crypto and blockchain became way too tribal, and that's holding us back as a movement, because we're both we're a technology, but we're also a community, and we're a movement which I believe is for the betterment of the economy. I genuinely do. So we'll be having conversations with you in parallel, and we'll figure out ways of doing this together.
That sounds exciting. Yeah, I fully agree with what you just said. We're a lot of small fish in this lake, and we got to stick together and build together.
Absolutely. Okay, brilliant, Richy. So we're going to move on now. We're going to see if we have anybody here in our Telegram group at Zypto Global. See if anybody's got any questions that they would like to ask you. So please raise your hands, guys, and we will unmute you so you can ask away.
Yeah, feel free.
I'm scanning here. People get shy when it's when it's a voice thing.
Hello.
Hey, Andrea.
Thank you. First question, can we expect a bigger collaboration between Nimiq and Zypto? And second question, how does Nimiq make it easy for people to start using cryptocurrency without a technical background? Because most people in crypto are newbies.
Excellent, thanks.
Sure, thanks a lot, Andrea. So
Thank
quick answers. For the first one, I surely hope so. I like what Zypto is doing, and we'll be talking more with Zypto to integrate Zypto into our map, and to talk about all the things that we could be doing, like our technology may be integrated there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We'll talk more after the space, and find things that we can collaborate on. The first, of course, is AMA, which has been great, but a lot more is coming for sure. And the second question is how to make it very easy. It's super intuitive. It's like they say, a picture is better than 1,000 words, something like that. Just go and use the app. Go to wallet.nimiq.com, use it, get a feel for it, and then you'll see what I mean. When it comes to like swapping coins, we swap from USDC on Polygon, Bitcoin, and NIM. So, for example, if you have some USDC on Polygon, you can already open the wallet, deposit some USDC, and swap it to NIM, and be ready for pre-staking. And do that, and you'll see that takes you like a couple minutes, easy, and it feels like better than a lot of the crypto apps for sure, and even a lot of the banking apps that are out there. Intuitive, easy to use apps. I think that's the answer.
Yeah, again, convergent evolution. We actually used banking apps as one of the references that we used for our user experience and user interface design. People in the DeFi space, for some reason, think that they can do it better than these enormous multinational corporations that have been doing it for decades and have like almost infinite money to develop things. So,
totally.
Yes,
I was just in a conference this last week called MCon, really interesting, about DAO operators and community builders. And somebody said something along the lines of like they were giving suggestions to other projects at the end of a chat as a takeaway. And he said, one takeaway is, guys, let's also try to learn from what Web 2 is doing. Web 2 is a very mature industry and space, and they have developed a lot of things. And then Web 3 doesn't need to reinvent the wheel every time with everything. Right. There's a lot of good things that are happening in Web 2, and a lot of bad things too. But we shouldn't feel like we can do everything better and just start from scratch.
And the other thing is, like, the other thing which I find kind of crazy is kind of not wanting to work with the current big players, or thinking that we can somehow like instantly replace all the major payments companies, etc. It's delusional, quite frankly. You're not going to go straight from the current system to a fully decentralized system, especially not if you want it to work on just one blockchain using just one token. You know what I mean? Which is what a lot of people try to sell, which is just impossible. It's literally impossible. I'm not the kind of person to say that something's impossible, but that is impossible, right? So I don't see any other hands raised, so I'm just going to jump into. We've got. I always in my mind pronounce this Mike. It's M''AIQ. He's written some questions, but he's not able to ask them. So I'm gonna read one out. So I've got. Are there any ongoing talks with other financial institutions outside of 1031 Bank to integrate additional fiat currencies or expand Nimiq Oasis into other markets? This is somebody who has done their research for this question.
Yeah, actually, yes. There are a couple of talks that, like, because of the type of, like what he's talking about right now is that we created a technology that allows for this type of atomic swaps to occur between not only crypto and crypto that already exists, but between crypto and fiat. So it allows users to swap crypto to fiat without having to provide personal information and without having to give their money or their custody to any middleman. So like we said before, in the whole example of you first give me the money or you first give me the girl or whatever, here the same, but with fiat and crypto. So that technology, we created it, and we started with 1031 Bank in Germany because we need a bank to run and test this technology, and we run it and tested it, and it works. And now we're looking into other players in the world. We have a couple of meetings and things going on in Europe, and also are looking into what happens in the US for upcoming elections. That's going to be interesting and might make a little bit more clearer the what is going to happen in terms of regulations there. That might be an interesting thing that we might move in the next future. And also MiCA in Europe, it's another thing. So regulations are really changing along in the world of crypto, and we are ready with that technology. We have a couple of talks, but nothing that we can disclose right now. But we are surely hoping to make the first move as soon as more clarity is in terms of regulations around in the world.
Okay, great. So is Nimiq Oasis, is that the atomic swap between crypto and fiat?
Yeah, it's Nimiq Oasis. Great. It stands for, it's a long name, but it's Oasis is Open Asset Oasis is in System Interaction Scheme, I think. So it basically is a scheme, a blueprint.
I love a good. I always love a good acronym.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, our team, our team members as well. So we went for the acronym.
I thought actually, I kind of assumed that Nimiq was an acronym, but the concept of a binding force is a much nicer.
It's
nicer
like the binding force, like the binding force from Star Wars. That's Nimiq. But
it's great.
The acronym came afterwards. We launched Nimiq, and then NIM is the currency because it just makes sense. And is the three first letters, but then the community began with Nimiq, NIM, NIM, new internet money. So that's something that came up there also, but didn't came from us.
What was the other one? The other one that was very popular, magic internet money is
exactly
what people call crypto a lot of the time. Okay, great. So we're going to wrap up there. We're more or less within the expected time limit. So thank you very much, Richy. That was absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time and your expertise. We'll be discussing things for us to do together in parallel. And obviously, we'd love to have you back on at some point in the future to update us about how everything's going. Everybody listening, please be sure to visit Nimiq.com. Go and say hi on all of their social media, in Telegram or Discord, etc. Say where you heard about them. And thanks for tuning in to Crypto Made Easy with Zypto. If you found this interesting or in any way useful or stimulating, you think we deserve it, please subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or any other major podcast distribution channel. And wherever you can, please be sure to leave us a nice thumbs up, loads of stars, pleasant, encouraging comments to feed our Lord Masters, the algorithms. Visit Zypto.com to find out about what Zypto is doing. Download the app. Today is actually a huge day for us. We're going live with our much anticipated referral program, part of what we believe is the most ambitious complete reward system ever created in a DeFi app. We've taken lots of cues from things like American Express points and air miles, etc., and we think everybody's going to love it. So I've been Joe Parkin. I'll see you again very soon for another episode with another great guest. If you'd like to join the recordings live, make sure you join the @Zypto Global group on Telegram. Any closing statements, Richy?
Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. Thanks a lot, Joe. It was a great space. Thanks to Zypto for the invite. Of course, we're going to be talking more with you guys. There's a lot of things that we can work on. And as we said at the beginning, this is a space to be collaborating and working and building together. Remember, everybody, go and follow us on Twitter or on x.com/Nimiq. And join us for our migration to proof of stake. This is around the corner. It's going to be happening in the coming weeks. And next week, pre-staking begins. So really, go ahead, follow us on Twitter so you can stay up to date with all the news and participate in pre-staking. We have a lot of giveaways and a lot of prizes for everybody participating. So everybody wins here at Nimiq. You just need to get some NIM, go and pre-stake in the wallet. So see you there, and thanks a lot for joining.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much, Richy, and take care, everyone. We will see you again very soon.
Bye, everybody.